You already know something is off. You can feel it. You smile when you don't mean it. You say yes when everything inside you screams no. You shrink yourself to fit into rooms that were never built for you. And somehow, you've convinced yourself that this is kindness, that this is maturity, that being liked means being good. But what if the thing you've been calling kindness is actually the thing that's been killing you slowly? What if the habits you're most proud of, your patience, your politeness, your willingness to help, are the exact reasons people stop taking you seriously? Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you is going to be uncomfortable, and it's going to be true. There's a version of respect you've been chasing your whole life. You thought if you were helpful enough, available enough, agreeable enough, it would come. You waited. You gave. You softened yourself at every edge. And still, somehow, the people around you learned to overlook you. Not because you weren't enough, but because you taught them, day by day, interaction by interaction, that you didn't need to be taken seriously. This is the part nobody tells you. Respect doesn't follow kindness. Respect follows self-possession. And somewhere along the way, you lost yours. The first behavior that's quietly destroying your respect is the one you do 100 times a day without noticing. You over-explain yourself. Every decision, every boundary, every time you can't show up for something. You don't just say no. You build a case. You apologize before the sentence even begins. You offer 5 reasons when 0 are required. Think about what that communicates. Not humility. Not politeness. It communicates that you don't believe your own decisions are valid without someone else's approval. You are, without realizing it, asking permission to live your own life. When you explain too much, you don't protect yourself. You expose yourself. Every reason you give becomes a door they can walk through. Every excuse becomes leverage. You say you're tired, and they say, come on, push through it. You say you're busy, and they say it'll only take a minute. You created the argument. You handed them the tools. And then you wonder why your no never lands. Strong people don't negotiate their decisions with the people those decisions aren't about. They decide. They hold. They move. No performance. No dissertation. No apology wrapped around the truth. Just the truth. Clean. Unmovable. When you stop explaining, something shifts. People stop challenging. Not because you became cold. Because you became certain. And certainty commands what explanation never can. The second behavior is one you've probably been praised for your whole life. You are always available. Always the one who picks up. Always the one who shows up. Someone is struggling and you drop everything. Someone needs to vent and you listen for hours. Someone is drowning and you swim out every single time, even when you can barely float yourself. You call this loyalty. I'm asking you to consider that it might be something else. When you make yourself endlessly available, you don't become valued. You become expected. There's a difference. Value is what someone feels when they know your time is real, rare, and chosen deliberately. Expectation is what someone feels when they assume you'll be there regardless. One earns gratitude. The other earns entitlement. Every hour you spend absorbing someone else's chaos is an hour your own life waited. Every emotional crisis you manage for someone who never asked themselves hard questions is energy you didn't put into building something that matters to you. You became the container for everyone else's overflow. And containers don't get thanked. They get filled. You are not a container. You are a person, and your presence should mean something because it's not automatic. The third behavior cuts deeper. You keep giving to people who don't give back. Money, time, effort, energy, favors. You keep showing up for people who treat your generosity like a service they subscribe to without asking. And every time they need something, you're there. And every time you need something, there's a reason they can't be. Here's what you need to understand. Giving without discernment isn't generosity. It's self. Real generosity flows toward people who honor it. It's a reward for character, not a reflex triggered by whoever asks loudest. When you give endlessly to people who take endlessly, you don't teach them gratitude. You teach them that there are no consequences for taking. You fund their smallness with your abundance. And somewhere in the back of your mind, resentment builds. Not anger at them. Quiet anger at yourself for knowing better and doing it anyway. Stop. Not because people don't deserve help, but because you deserve to help people who will carry some of that weight with you when your arms get heavy. The fourth behavior is the one you've dressed up so carefully in the language of humility that you can barely see it anymore. You apologize constantly for your opinions, for your questions, for your presence in a room. Sorry to bother you. Sorry for asking. Sorry, And then the thought, the real thought, the one that actually mattered, disappears under the weight of the apology you didn't owe anyone. Every unnecessary sorry is a small vote against yourself. Cast enough of them, and even you start to believe the outcome. You start to feel like an inconvenience, like your thoughts need to earn their place in the conversation. Like your needs are somehow excessive simply for existing. People who apologize for everything signal one thing clearly, that they don't believe they belong. And when you signal that you don't belong, people take you at your word. You don't need permission to have an opinion. You don't need to soften every truth until it loses its shape. You don't need to make yourself smaller so that others feel more comfortable in the space you have every right to occupy fully. Say what you mean. Stand where you stand. And let that be enough. Because it is. The fifth behavior is the most exhausting one of all. You keep performing for people who are never going to choose you anyway. You adjust your views in the room. You laugh when nothing is funny. You agree when everything inside you disagrees. You sand down the parts of yourself that might make someone uncomfortable, and then you wonder why, even after all of it, you still don't feel seen. This is the trap. You think if you just adapt enough, agree enough, smooth enough edges, approval will finally come. But approval sought this way never satisfies. Because what they end up approving of isn't you. It's the performance, and you know it. And so the hunger never goes away, because the thing being fed isn't the real you. The moment you stop performing, something terrifying and freeing happens at the same time. Some people leave. And that's not the tragedy you think it is. The ones who were only there for the performance were never really there for you. And when they go, what remains is something real. People who chose you, not the adjusted version. You. Now here's what happens when you stop doing all five. At first, it feels like loss. People push back. They call you cold. They say you've changed. And they're right. You have changed. You stop letting your kindness be used as a currency for other people's comfort at the cost of your own. But the ones who are worth keeping, they feel the shift differently. They show up more carefully. They speak to you with more consideration. They value your time because they've learned it's not unlimited. They value your yes because they've seen your no. This is the truth the world forgot to tell you when it was busy teaching you to be polite. Respect is not given to people who make themselves easy. It's given to people who make themselves real. And real means boundaries that don't bend under social pressure. Real means generosity that has a spine. Real means presence that is chosen, not defaulted. You are not here to be everyone's solution. You are not here to shrink. You are not here to earn your place in your own life through endless service to everyone else's comfort. You are here to build something. To stand for something. To become, finally, unapologetically, completely yourself. And that starts right now. Not tomorrow. Not when conditions improve. Not when you feel ready. Now. With one decision, held firmly, without explanation. Choose yourself. The rest will follow.